Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode of PCOA Voices. I'm your host, Lisa Reams. I'm the Vice President for Programs and Services here at PCOA. And I thought we'd start by just getting to know each other a little bit better. So in that spirit, welcome to my remote workspace, which also happens to double as my living room. And if you hear any barking, that'd be my dog. So let me tell you just a little bit about PCOA, about me personally, and about why we're doing this show right now. So PCOA is a nonprofit agency that it services what's called the Area Agency on Aging for all of Pima County. And it's our responsibility to plan and to coordinate services for older adults in this community. So we promote dignity and respect for aging. We help older adults to live independently. We support families and neighbors to care for their loved ones. And we advocate for the rights and needs of older adults through meaningful policy change. There are some core services we offer, things like our helpline, nutrition services, like you may have heard of Pima Meals on Wheels, and in-home assistance. But we also look at the unique needs and opportunities within our community to develop additional services, such as ways that community volunteers can help their neighbors, supporting people in end-of-life care planning, and coming up with innovative ways to help older adults be healthy and stay active. We've been doing this work for over 50 years now, and our work is constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of the community. A little bit about me personally, I've been working in human services in Tucson for about 30 years now. I'm often told I don't look old enough for that to be possible, but I'm not ashamed of getting older. I got my AARP card just last year. And I've been involved in services for older adults for about 15 years now. And it quickly became one of the favorite groups of people that I enjoyed working with. I've learned patience, humility, and grace from working with older adults. And I've really enjoyed spending time with my elders. So for about 3 years now, I've overseen the services that PCOA staff provide to the community. And I can tell you that the people doing this work are some of the most authentic and caring and loving people that I've ever met. So for the purpose of this show, PCOA Voices, is to introduce you to just some of those people, to share their voices, and to help you learn about PCOA services along the way. We believe that now more than ever, it's important for all of us to feel connected. We want to hear your voices too, and we want you to know us better. Well, I can't think of a better way to start off the first episode of PCOA Voices than by introducing you to a few of our intake staff. These are the staff or the entry point to PCOA, and they're truly the place to go for help when you don't know where to start. So today we have joining us Veronica, Nancy, John, and Miguel. Welcome to all of you. Veronica, let me start with you. So you're the coordinator of the intake team. What can you tell me about your team?
Well, our team is a very diverse team, and we also are very experienced. Many of us have been here several years, and we come from various backgrounds, which is great because it allows us to answer questions and find resources in a variety of subjects. We're also a very fun group, and we are always ready for a good laugh and are very passionate about our work with older adults.
That's awesome. All of that is true, I can tell you. Nancy, you've been here the longest of all of these team members. Tell us what you and your team do at PCOA.
Well, our team does our best to find answers for people, and if we don't know the answers, then we ask coworkers in other departments, or we ask other resources in the community just to find the answers. We also help people to figure out what they need or where to start when their situation is complicated or overwhelming.
Sounds like you all get calls from a lot of folks. Veronica, can you tell me who are the callers to the helpline?
Well, our callers come from a variety of places. We work directly with the older adults that are looking for resource or guidance, but we also work with social workers, in the community, family members and neighbors that are concerned about an older adult or loved one, first responders, hospital staff, basically anybody from the community here in Pima County or in the country that is looking for guidance or advocacy or are concerned about an older adult in their life.
And I'm sure they all appreciate the expertise and help that you all bring. Nancy, back to you for a second. How do people get information and help from PCOA? What's the best way to go about getting services?
Well, we have a great website. You go to pcoa.org and you can search the directory on there to find information about different topics. Or you can also contact us straight from the website, and it will send an email to the intake team and we can answer your questions that way. You can also call the helpline 790-7262. And if we're not able to answer right away, if it's very busy that day, then we ask people to leave a message and we will call back as soon as we can and answer your questions.
Wonderful. I'm going to pause for just a second to go over some chat instructions for those of you that are watching. We'd love to hear from you, and we have staff that are available to answer any questions that you might have. If you're joining us through Vimeo, you should see a chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, you'll either need to sign in with a Vimeo or a Facebook account. You can also choose chat as guest, and you'll just need to type in your name and accept the terms and conditions in order to start commenting. If you're watching us through Facebook, you should see the chat window on the right-hand side of your computer screen or on the bottom half of your cell phone. And for both Vimeo and Facebook Live chats, just type your comment into the box and push enter. So we'd love to hear from you while we're doing this. I'm going to jump to another member of the team now, Miguel. Miguel, the COVID-19 pandemic has really impacted the types of calls that I know you all got on the helpline. And I know that a number of calls you got were related to food, such as prepared meals or grocery shopping services. What can you tell us about how PCOA can help older adults with food?
Yeah, that is correct. We've been getting a good influx of calls regarding people needing food assistance, home delivery meals, and things like that. A lot of individuals have recently been homebound due to the current circumstances of the country. And with that, there's been new services being implemented, such as, for example, the Salvation Army. They came up with a nice program for older adults, 65 and up, where they can call their phone line and essentially request a box of supplies. And this box of supplies includes food and other things that are useful for them, such as wipes, toilet paper, paper towels, and things like that that will really benefit them. We also here at the Pima Council on Aging, we had the program Meals on Wheels. And that is a really good program for individuals who are homebound and don't have the physical capacity to prepare their own meals at home. And they also don't have a lot of assistance from others. Let's say they simply don't have that resource for support in their home. So the Meals on Wheels program is really good. It works really well. There is an application process that they got to go through based on their zip code. A different agency is assigned, such as the Catholic Social Services or the Lutheran Social Services. And then from there, they get placed on a wait list, but the wait list is not very long as far as I know, and they get to work with these clients very quickly. So that's a good program. Other things that are also available is if the client or the individual has a special diet, they can receive services through a different agency called Mobile Meals of Southern Arizona. And sometimes if they don't qualify for the Meals on Wheels program, they can also contact the Interfaith Community Services, which they also have their own home delivery program. And it's also really good. And they can look at information on their website at ICS. Other programs that are available for individuals right now would be community food banks, which have always been available. The one located in Country Club, even though they moved themselves to the Keno Sports Stadium, so they can have more ease of access for individuals and less crowded population involved. Also, the Interfaith Community Services, they offer 2 different food banks. They got one up northwest and another one on the east side. You can also check their addresses on their website. And lastly, we do also have our own community services system program here, which if individuals need shopping assistance, they can enroll in that program. They just got to give us a call. We get their information and we got to complete a screening assessment. Of course, they cannot only just request shopping assistance services, they have to request something else. This would be in-home services such as housekeeping, personal care, or respite care and things like that that they may need in the home. So that is basically kind of the brief overview of some of the food assistance programs that are available. Of course, there's other things, but things are still being in development as of now.
That's great, Miguel. That was a lot of information. Thank you so much. You've learned a lot in the time that you've been with us. I know you're the newest member of our team. You've been here about, what, 3 months now? What do
Yeah.
you enjoy the most about your job here?
Well, I really enjoy working with the older adult population. It's something that I have not done very frequently in my career. And it's just very gratifying because these individuals are truly looking for help and they need the help. And it's just it's a good experience to talk to them. They're individuals who have a lot of wisdom and experience, and it's always good to help those folks out. Another thing that is really good is like, even though sometimes we don't have the one specific thing they need, we still have resources and information that will benefit them in their lives overall. And that just simply makes me feel like I'm doing my part, that I'm doing something for them, and I'm not just, wasting their time when they call us. So that's pretty good.
That's awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you on board, Miguel. You've been a great addition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, can I jump back to you for a minute? One of the things we've heard is that our helpline gets a lot of calls from family members or friends or neighbors that are calling about an older adult that they're either concerned about or that they help to care for. What kind of help can we offer for these informal caregivers or family caregivers?
Well, we have some wonderful caregiver specialists here that we can refer to from the helpline, and they can talk to the family or friends of someone who they're taking care of and look at options for care, taking in factors such as financial situation, the type of illness a person may have, help in the home versus a facility, all those choices people have to make. And they can also help with caregiver support because caregivers are often overwhelmed and they need some help with how to take care of themselves so that they can take care of the other person. We have support groups here. We're doing them online right now, but if people like that support group atmosphere, they can talk about the challenges they're having. So we have care options for the person who's in need of the direct help, and we also have the caregiver support for the person taking care of them.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Nancy. Veronica, let me jump back to you for just a second. I know that many of the services that we offer help people in the later stages of their life to really deal with the changes and the challenges that they're experiencing. Can you tell us what help we can provide for people who are wanting to start having some conversations about end-of-life care planning?
Well, we know end-of-life planning is very important, but it can also be a very difficult subject to talk about. We do have a program here that can help anyone looking for guidance on how to have that conversations with their family and their loved ones. And we even assist in those discussions. We can help by providing providing people with the paperwork and helping them understand the paperwork, things like a mental health power of attorney, a physical health power of attorney, a living will, a do not resuscitate. We have workshops and presentations on honoring a life and a meet and greet on helping people fill out the paperwork, because we know it is a very important document to have in your life, and we want to help facilitate those conversations with family.
Can I ask you a follow-up question about that, Veronica? If someone's more comfortable speaking with someone in Spanish, is that something that we're able to provide them both for end-of-life conversations and for your helpline in general?
Yes, we actually here at the helpline, we have 3 Spanish speakers. And within our agency, we also have several Spanish speakers. So we can definitely help anybody in English and Spanish with the paperwork or with any questions regarding resources or information.
Great. Thanks so much, Veronica. John, thank you for being so patient. Can I ask you about Medicare? Medicare is so confusing for so many people. And can you give us an idea of what it is that PCOA can do to help people make sense of Medicare?
Sure. Our SHIP department, we're the SHIP department for Pima County. and SHIP stands for State Health Insurance Program. What we offer help with is anybody who's Medicare eligible. So that's somebody who is age 65 or older, or somebody who's been on disability for 2 years straight. What we can do is not just help somebody get signed up for parts A, B, and D, but potentially look at supplements, advantage plans, and answering any questions they might have about open enrollment come the final quarter of the year, or just any questions about Medicare and how it works with Medicaid at the same time. One of the additional things that our Medicare department does is they can help with claims and any fraud issues that may be going on, because our senior Medicare patrol team looks at anything fraud related, and they're extremely well versed, and they're what you would call experts in Medicare itself.
Great, John, thanks. You know, on a final note, John, you've been working here at PCOA a few years ago, and just from talking to you, I know that you have a good story about how you sort of ended up working at PCOA and what's meaningful about this for you. Would you be willing to share that?
Yeah. So ever since graduating college in December of 2004, I've primarily done social work. My background is in art and animation, graphic design specifically, but I have been surrounded by a pretty diverse family, people with special needs, older adults, people who have mental health issues. So wanting to be a support for people has always been a big part of who I am. And when I found this opportunity to work for Human Council on Aging, it just resonated with me because both of my parents are in their late 60s or 70s. I have two remaining grandparents in their 90s, and then most of my aunts and uncles are at least in their 60s, if not their 70s. So it is definitely something that means a lot to me because it's very personal. But at the same time, being able to take that and put it towards the community that really needs it, and being able to offer those same supports to family and friends, it's just a really good feeling to be a supportive individual in that regard.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for what you and the whole team there does every day. You're such a caring and fun and dedicated and resourceful group, and I'm really proud to work with all of you. Hopefully we'll have you back on our show sometimes. So I'm going to say goodbye now, and thanks for taking the time. And I know you all have probably lots of calls on the helpline waiting for you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So next, we're planning to have some regular recurring segments on the show. So here's one of them. I'd like to introduce you to Marty, and Marty's going to give us our health, aging, and wellness tip of the week.
Hi, the tip for this week is being okay with being a beginner. Mostly I'm going to speak to that in the sense of maybe a new movement idea or an exercise class. I think trying something new is really good for your brain, and it can be a lot of fun. It can introduce you to a lot of different new ideas. So maybe something like a yoga class or an enhanced fitness class, aqua aerobics, ballroom dancing, Zumba Gold, different things like that you might have heard about but just not experienced. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is that you are very realistic about this. Just be honest with yourself, know if it's appropriate for you, or if you're setting yourself up for injury, that's not something you want to do. When you go to a new class, arrive a little early. Tell the instructor that you're brand new at this. Position yourself near the instructor so you can see and hear them. And do ask, is it okay to be a beginner in this class? And try different instructors. You might find one style more helpful for you than others. You always want to be safe physically and emotionally, and expect to feel awkward. That's very normal for at least the first few classes, and that's okay. Pay less attention to yourself. Look around at the group. Allow yourself to be fine with being part of the group. And you might consider a one-on-one with the instructor before you take a class. That can be very helpful. And always remember to take your sense of humor with you. Very important. Have fun, and that's it for this week.
Thank you for that tip, Marty. I was practicing along. Hopefully you'll join us a lot more and give us some great information about how we can all keep moving and stay active. I look forward to having you and your team as regular participants on the show. Next, please join me for a conversation with my boss, Mark Clark, the CEO of PCOA. Mark, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for just being supportive of us doing this PCOA Voices show.
Well, Lisa, I'm really excited about us doing this. I've wanted to get us live from Tucson and doing this sort of stuff for a while. And so I'm really pleased that you've stepped up to the plate to be the host.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I know, having worked with you in the community for a lot of years, that you've been a CEO here in Tucson for a lot of years. How long have you been leading PCOA?
So my wife Stacy and I had been living in Cleveland for a couple of years, and decided a job change was in order, and so I really wanted to come back to Tucson. And so I actually started this job. It's kind of an interesting, very quick interview process. Started on January 2nd of 2014. So I've been here just a little less than or a little more than 6 years, almost 6.5 years. Now, I've moved to Tucson 3 times. I first moved to Tucson in 1980, in the fall of 1980, and I've really known of PCOA almost since I got here in 1980. And I had the privilege of working over the years with Marian Lupu, our first CEO, who was here for 40 years. And also had the privilege of working with my predecessor, Jim Murphy, who was one of our original board members back into the early 1970s. You know, I'm not thinking I'm going to be around as long as either of them, certainly not 40 years, but it's such an honor to be here and to work with the best team that I've worked with in my whole professional, more than 40-year career.
Well, that says a lot. Thank you for that. We're glad to have you here. You know, I know the past few months have been a really disruptive time for all businesses and service organizations. And I know a lot of people are curious about how PCOA operates differently now with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. What's changed? How is PCOA adapting to that?
Well, I think the most visible manifestation of how we changed really is that we've sent about 80% of our staff home to work at home. You know, last November, we opened our Katie Dusenberry Healthy Aging Center, which we bought about 1.5 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, and invested money in buying it and fixing it up. And it's a beautiful facility. But sadly, in March, we shut those doors. There's just a couple of people working in that building, but we're not doing healthy aging classes and big community meetings like we'd expected. And so that space is closed. So that's a major issue. We are still open out here at our Lupu building on Broadway and almost Camino Seco for walk-ins. But we really are encouraging people to call our helpline at, I think, 790-7262 and I believe folks just had the opportunity to meet some of the helpline team. So that the biggest thing and the most immediate issue was that we learned on a Thursday that the mayor of the city of Tucson intended to close the neighborhood centers where in 8 of them we were serving lunch. Between them and a few other locations, including Pima County Parks and Rec, out in Ajo and in the Flowing Wells neighborhood down in Green Valley, and TMC for Seniors, those city facilities were our largest. And so we needed to figure out how we were going to get lunch to people. And so we've switched over a week into a grab and go process, and we're continuing to enhance our ability to get healthy food into the stomachs, or at least the households of food insecure older adults. So, I mean, those are just a couple of things. I was talking with a group of staff last week who were asking for our rationalizations about doing certain things and what was our thoughts and what was our planning, now what, 10 or 12 weeks ago. I told them that I thought that in large part we were building this airplane while we're flying it. And to some degree, that's still the case, that we're iterating. I know just earlier today, I'm writing county officials in the health department to ask their questions about when we might be thinking of opening exercise facilities or exercise programs back up. So it's a complete and total ongoing process. We're just trying to be a little as transparent as possible, and this particular process is a great way to do that.
Well, thanks for sharing about our organizational response to COVID-19. I find myself curious about your personal response to this as well. What does it mean to you to lead an organization through a time like this with a global pandemic that disproportionately impacts older adults, and also through a time of protests for racial equity, equality, inclusion, and accessibility? What does that mean for you? What is that like for you?
Well, I know time is short, and this is something I could talk about for a very long time, but I think as I was reflecting on sort of this topic, one of the things that came to mind for me was hopeful. Not so much about the pandemic, although I think we'll get through the pandemic, and I certainly don't have experience leading through pandemics. But I've certainly led organizations during very disruptive times, and I've worked in organizations during disruptive times. I go back to the war in Vietnam, the Equal Rights Amendment, transition, struggles here in Arizona for farm worker rights, and a whole host of what we used to call multi-cultural prevention programming, and then just the issues around racism, systemic racism, which is clearly the case that we struggle with in our country today. And I'm hopeful by the amount of conversation, the amount of talking, the changes that I'm seeing, or the potential, the hopeful possibilities of change. And so I'm hopeful. I think we have very difficult things to do, and I'm encouraged that PCOA is going to be one of the organizations doing that work, and hopefully leading forward.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for joining us. We're fortunate to have your voice and your wisdom and your leadership here at PCOA, and I trust that you'll visit us again in future episodes of PCOA Voices.
Well, I hope to get invited back. Thanks so much, Lisa.
Absolutely. Bye, Mark. And now joining us in what we plan is another recurring segment of our show. Here's one of our very own caregiving support specialists with our caregiving tip of the week. Take it away, Zuri.
Hello, I'm Zuri Reyes, and I'm here to talk about resources you can access in your caregiver journey. Taking care of yourself and getting help when you need it will in turn allow you to care for your loved one better. The first thing you can do is seek assistance from loved ones with simple tasks and not feeling bad about assigning them a task that they can assist with specifically. The second thing you can do is that there are 11 support groups all over Tucson offered by PCOA, and sometimes just knowing that there's somebody else who understands what's going on and is in a similar situation can really help you feel better. So you can always contact our helpline to find out more. Stay safe and stay well.
Thanks so much, Zuri. Being a caregiver is rewarding and challenging, and we're here to help caregivers on that journey. We'll have another caregiving tip for you really soon. And in the meantime, feel free to call our helpline with any questions you may have or support you need if you're caring for a loved one. Well, thank you for tuning in to this inaugural episode of PCOA Voices. We've loved introducing you to just some of the diverse voices here at PCOA. Our plan is to do this about twice a month, so please stay tuned for future episodes. And if you'd like to be placed on an email list to receive a reminder and a link to future episodes of PCOA Voices, just send us an email. You can reach us at voices@pcoa.org. Send us your name and email address and we'll add you to a mailing list for that. We also encourage you to make your voice heard, and we want to hear from you. This week, we'd like to hear, what are you personally finding to be most challenging about what's going on in our country today? Whether that's related to the COVID-19 pandemic, the protests and civil unrest, or something else. Send us your thoughts. Again, the address is voices@pcoa.org. We may contact you for more information, or maybe I'll invite you to participate in a future episode. So we'll see you again in a couple weeks. Thanks again for joining us. And until then, be safe and let your voice be heard. Bye, everybody.